when you look at the position the Nuggets are in, they're expected to win every single year. They have the best player in the world in Nikola Jokic. And I don't know what's going on as far as the brass with the GM and the coach and maybe the ownership. I don't know because I'm not the fly on the wall. I would love to be, but I'm not. But this was just out of control when you hear the story and out of line. When you're a team, you're a championship competitive team, you have a player like Nikola Jokic, you're fairly healthy right now, you have a fairly good bench, and you can definitely compete right now in the Western Conference. Look at the Western Conference right now. Even though the Lakers and Golden State are scary, and you do have OKC, this team has a tremendous amount of talent. You have Porter Jr., you have Jamal Murray, you have Nikola Jokic. These three guys have won a championship, and when they're at the top of their game, there's not many teams that are better than they are. But if you look at the position right now the Nuggets are in, they're not in a bad position. You would have thought, hey, I'll wait until the end of the season. If this team fails and they can't get over the hump, we'll fire Malone and we'll bring in a new coach, a new GM, and try to rebuild around youth. But right now, Nikola Jokic is still fairly young. Jamal Murray is really young. Even Michael Porter is young. Their best players are young, and they're still playing. Now, they do have young players on this roster, and they still have outstanding talent. Russell Westbrook, as good as he's been this year, are you going to complain of his time? If you're a GM right now, are you really going to sit there and complain about Russell Westbrook's time? The answer is no. If they're winning, and they are winning, if you look at their record, they're 47-32. They're 15 games over 500. That's a pretty good record. You don't fire a coach when you're 15 games over 500 and you have 3 games left of the season and you're going into the playoffs expected to be competitive and possibly go for another championship. It makes no sense. Something else was going on in that locker room. Something else. Now, Nikola Jokic obviously liked a guy like Mike Malone. He's been there. Mike Malone's been there practically since Nikola Jokic was drafted. And Jamal Murray looks like he likes the guy after he got fired. Both guys posted on their social media about Mike Malone and thanking him. I don't know about Michael Porter because he didn't really write anything as far as what I've seen. But all in all, they're stars like Mike Malone. So it had to be with ownership and the brass up there trying to figure out if this team is going to win another championship. And you just don't know with the NBA, especially in the Western Conference. When you have teams like the Lakers that were pretty much handed a superstar, that's what they were. They were handed probably the second or third best player in the league for nothing, for a bag of balls. That's really what it was. But I just think that there's a lot of questions on why teams do this, and they've been doing this in the middle, at the end of the season. Some of them done it in the middle of the season with a winning record, and some of them have done it at the end of the season when they're on their way to the playoffs. You look at the possibility on how the Nuggets match up in the second round. If the season were to end right now and they are the 4th seed, they would be matching up against who? OKC. They match up very well against OKC. Didn't they beat OKC in the playoffs last year? Was it them, Speedy?
That was Dallas.
All right, so Dallas did. But for years, they've matched up against OKC, the youth of and the talent that they have. Shai Alexander is a sensational player. He's probably going to win the MVP, even though Nikola Jokic has been far and along the best player in the league. But that's what the NBA is, and that's what the MVP. It's not the best player and the most valuable player. It's like a talent show. Oh, the fans like him, so he's going to win it. Because to me, if you look at the 90s, Michael Jordan should have won the MVP every single year. He was the best player by far in the NBA every single year. But that's not how everything works. If it does, Nikola Jokic has won, 3? He should have won 5 over the last couple of years. But you look at Mike Malone, it's going to be very interesting where he goes next year. He's definitely going to get another job. There are going to be teams lining up for him. Maybe the New York Knicks, if Tom Thibodeau falls short again this year. A lot of people think that the Knicks are going to part ways with him, especially with stuff that's going on in the locker room. A lot of the different players and some of the veteran players are not too fond of Tom Thibodeau. There's been fighting in the locker room at the end of the games. And even some of the players that they've traded over the last couple of years have not really enjoyed being coached by Tom Thibodeau. One of them is playing for Indiana right now. And Obi Toppin is the kid. But I just think when you look at the big picture right now, you don't fire coach at the end of the season when you're on a playoff run. You're the fourth best team right now in the Western Conference. This is a harder conference right now to compete in than the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is really 3 teams, and that's it. Do you think Indiana's going to win a championship this year? Do you think Detroit's going to win a championship this year? Do you think any of those teams besides the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Cavs have any chance to win a championship? Even Milwaukee right now. Milwaukee, who has the 2 stars on their team, and one of them that is one of the top 5 players in the league, the Greek Freak. You're not going to predict that they're going to win a championship. If they do, it will be something that will shock the world.
Maybe they have to fire their coach with 3 games left because we know Doc Rivers ain't winning a title.
But to bring up Russell Westbrook involved in this conversation about why Mike Malone doesn't have a job right now is ridiculous. It's so stupid. And I think ownership, and at the end of the season, they got to figure out, where is this team heading? Are you starting to think that you need to rebuild? Maybe you trade Jamal Murray. Maybe you trade Michael Porter and you start building with Nikola Jokic. Or how about this? And I know people are going to think I'm nuts. Trading Nikola Jokic. You can get the farm for Nikola Jokic. You're talking about 8 or 9 first-round draft picks and maybe a star or 2 from another team and another roster. If you don't think you're going to get over the hump, and Nikola Jokic next year is going to be 31 years old, and you're paying him a lot of money, maybe you start putting it out there. Maybe he becomes available, and you try to rebuild this team and see where this team is going to go in the future. But I just think the OKC is so good right now, and they have a tremendous amount of draft stock, and they're going to be good for many, many years to come. And teams like Memphis, if Ja Morant can keep his mouth shut or keep his hands in his pants, and I mean in his pockets, not in, sticking.
And his finger off the trigger.
Anything. Doing anything. And this team.
Any air trick. No, not even a water gun.
Yeah, there you go. No water gun, no nothing. If Memphis could figure out how to keep this guy from getting out of trouble, and there are a couple of good young rosters right now that are moving up, I do believe that the Nuggets are going to have to decide what they're going to do with Nikola Jokic, because we're going to see Sacramento's probably going to decide in the offseason, maybe we should trade Sabonis. We just traded De'Aaron Fox. And again, the Spurs are an up-and-coming team, too. They have De'Aaron Fox. If Wembanyama comes back and he's actually stays healthy with these blood clots, I mean, they're a player or 2 away from being not only a contender, they're a top 3 team in all of basketball. So there's a lot of questions on what the Nuggets did here, but obviously there was something behind the scenes that nobody's talking about.